Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Hypecast mit Tom Reimann und David Bell.
Hello, everyone.
Hey!
Another episode of Hypecast!
It's Hypecast.
It's the show where we get hyped about stuff and things. I'm your co-host, Tom Ryman.
I'm your other co-host, David Bell.
Do you want to introduce me on the show? I have to introduce myself. Is that?
Yeah,
we
we abandon you immediately. That's how the show works.
Hello, I am esteemed author Jason Pargin. Back.
Welcome, Jason.
Man, so much esteem. It comes off of you in just waves.
Yeah, it comes across over this microphone. I bought a new mic so I would sound more esteemed. And I've got to say, listeners, I know that when I'm on this show, it usually means we have a bunch of trash trailers to look at. No, because while January, February is a horrible time for movies that are out, it is prime time for trailers, because this is when the summer movie trailers start dropping, and we have got some of those. So I'm actually, I'm here with a bunch of good trailers to watch.
Yeah. There are a lot of good trailers on this list.
Summer kind of starts in March now, huh? And it's been that way. It's been that way for like 10 years, but still.
Yeah, they kept moving it up, and there's actually a history of this, because The Matrix, for example, was a film they did not have a lot of confidence in. They dumped it in April. It became a huge hit, and it was after that they were like, well, hell, we can, because the rule used to be they wanted these movies to come out when kids were out of school. So that's why it's June, July, August, that was your summer movie seasons. They're like, well, hell, we got good returns on April. And then to try to beat the April movies, they started releasing in March. So yeah, you'll see blockbusters coming in, March 20th around there. And that's your summer. It's all your summer movie season. Yeah,
we still got, we got what? Argyle now to look forward to, right? We got Argyle.
Oh man, Argyle fever. I know you both have it.
Yeah, I have it.
It's reached critical mass.
I'm watching it tomorrow. Yeah. I'm gonna go to an empty theater and watch Argyle.
We get to watch Argyle.
I don't know if I want to spoil Argyle for the people who are listening, but the marketing of that movie has been around the mystery of who is Argyle. What is, I guess that's the central plot, is trying to discover the identity of the secret agent known as Argyle. And some people retweeted the original announcement from 2021 when it's like Matthew Vaughn has signed on to this project with, all the stars are in it, Bryce Dallas Howard, all that, for a film in which, and then it just describes it spoils the exact twist in the plot in the description of.
It's incredible. I saw that.
Yeah, the initial press release. Yeah, it'd be like if they announced years and years ago that M. Night Shyamalan has been signed on to do a new movie about a man who turns out was dead the whole time.
It's really funny because it's the trailers make the plot twist so obvious, and I assume the press release they just didn't know. I just love that it's the most obvious twist ever, to the point that the press releases just casually admitted what it was. I hear it has multiple twists or something. So maybe that's I don't know.
There's another one around the identity of the author, right? Because it's quote unquote based on a book, but the book is written by the fictitious person that Bryce Dallas Howard plays in the film. And they're
doing an adaptation thing.
Yeah, there's a bit of a buzz around who it could be, and it's the big guess is J.K. Rowling, but from what I've heard, it's not that, but it's something close to that.
Well, after the reviews, they might stay hidden.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to do. Such a weird way to market the movie. Anyway,
I honestly think they just threw a few $1,000s at a ghostwriter and had them slap together a tie-in novel in a couple months.
Yeah.
I've got a feeling it was not J.K. Rowling. I've got a feeling it was just somebody. We may know them. But I know a lot of people that do ghostwriting. It's actually good paying work. You just don't get your name on it.
That would be the funniest thing if it was just like they never meant for it to become a thing, and it just sort of did when people noticed that the author wasn't a real person. So like, oh yeah, it's a big thing we're gonna reveal.
It's like the Mystery Magician. Remember that? Secrets of Magic? Where it was like, who is this magician? And then when he revealed himself, it was just some guy that no one knew. And it was like, they kept being like, who's it going to be? And then it was like, oh, it's just some guy from like Vegas who got a deal for this show.
I thought it was going to be like a Street Fighter character or something.
Yeah. Well,
that was going to be Jesus. That's how he could do magic. It was Jesus Christ, and that was how he chose to announce his return.
That'd be amazing. He's like, I'm the only magician. I'm sick of these fucking people. These fucking posers. Jason, thank you so much. Do you want to where can we find you? What have you been up to? Do you have stuff you want to plug?
Oh my God, I've got a new book to promote for the first time since this time last year when I had a new book to promote. Since the last time.
Yeah.
Yes, a standalone novel that is not part of any series. It is a brand new thing. If you've never read any of my books, this would be an easy place to start. It requires zero prior knowledge of me or anything that has ever happened. But it is a standalone novel, a ticking clock thriller called I'm Starting to Worry About This Black Box of Doom. Is up for pre-order now in all formats, including audio.
That's a great title. It's a very fun cover too.
Yeah, we put a lot of effort into the cover. I obviously do not put any effort into it. I put a lot of effort into telling the artist, Rob Grom, what I want, and then he puts a tremendous amount of effort into making the covers. I put a lot of effort into the covers in the way that the AI authors put a lot of effort into their AI. It's like, hey, I had to do the work of telling it what kind of article to write. That's the same thing, isn't it? Aren't I really the artist?
What is art?
I love those where they like tell the AI to like draw it good and stuff like that. Like you'll literally see that in the prompts of like make it look like a masterpiece or something like that. And they're like, look at this amazing thing I instructed it to do. So you said it's out wherever books are?
It is up for pre-order, and wherever you like to pre-order books. If you've got a local bookstore, you want to pre-order it there, they would be extremely happy to take your pre-order for it. Otherwise, the audiobook is available through Audible, Amazon, and the ebook, same. It's all the normal book stuff.
Nice.
It's out in September, but don't wait, or you're going to forget.
Yep. I spotted you in the Barnes and Noble over the holiday. You were in the horror section. It was cool. You had a bunch.
He was in there putting his own books on the shelf.
Right.
Yeah.
Before they kicked me out again.
Behind the shelves.
I always love that thing where there's always a charming story where Kurt Vonnegut or somebody would go into a bookstore and he'll quietly go back and sign all of his books. And I'd always just imagine me going back there and just getting tackled by a security guard. Like, sir. You have to pay for all of those. It's like, no, I have graced them. I have graced them with my signature.
Coming tiptoeing in there to do some whimsy, and then this dude in a members only jacket breaks your fingers.
That's lovely. Well, let's talk about trailers. Let's
thank some producers first.
Yeah. We will in a second. All right, Big old thank you to @NerdNumbers. Thank you very much. Thank you to Zero Charisma.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to A Bag Full of Bags.
Thank you.
Thank you to Aaron Burser.
Thank you.
Thank you to AJ.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to Andrew McGuire. Totally likes movies. Andrew Howe.
Thank you.
And thank you to Andrew McGuire. So, do you like movies? Signed, Andrew Howe.
Come on, guys.
I see. Thank you to Asking Seven.
Thank you so much. All right, let me swoop in here. Thank you to Bob Grenville.
Thank
you to Butler Bullison.
Thank you.
Thank you to Brian, who Tom knows. Thank you to Broccoli Loves the Meat Millie.
Thank you.
Thank you to Burrito. Wants you to drink water, hit the gym, and do the ska, because they loves y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you to pre-order TikTok superstar Jason Pargin's new standalone ticking clock thriller and dark satire called I'm Starting to Worry About This Black Box of Doom.
Thank you.
Whew. Thank you to Chester's Prophet.
Thank you.
And thank you to Christopher Robert Sparts, Esquire.
Thank you. All right.
They got that name changed already?
I was about to say, that one producer's on it.
They're like your
6 days ago.
Yeah.
Not even everybody who works at the publisher knows that it's up.
Yeah.
For the record, that producer is not Jason. That is somebody else.
Well, it would start getting amazing if they started promoting books that you haven't even officially announced yet.
As soon as you write the title into like the doc.
into Word.
Ghostbuster, Frozen Empire as as the official Ghostbusters. YouTube has it listed. Ghostbuster singular Frozen Empire. They haven't changed it.
But clearly there's 19 of them in there, so that's a misnomer.
Yes, there are so many Ghostbusters.
So many Ghostbusters, you guys. They're coming out of the walls.
They're treating them, it's like the Avengers, like they're just piling it on. And it very much feels like they're going for like that superhero vibe.
Yeah,
like
it's a superhero movie now.
Yeah, the stakes don't feel, the stakes are about as big as the other movies, I would argue. It's New York in peril, right? But it just, the fucking, the reverence, the weight of this trailer, it really feeling like it's like, there's like a little comedy in here. What did you guys think?
It's so curious what they're doing with this franchise just in general, because the whole backstory, Dan Aykroyd had been trying to make continual Ghostbusters movies for the last 40 years. I mean, he wanted to make a Ghostbusters 3. It was a fight to get Bill Murray to do part 2. He didn't want to do any more. And he had just been steadily trying to get more Ghostbusters made. Like, you would have a headline every 1 or 2 years with, the studio in talks to do another Ghostbusters, a Ghostbusters 3 or a Ghostbusters spinoff. And I'm talking, you'd hear that in the 90s. Yes. He never gave up. And so they finally got them to reboot it. They did Ghostbusters Afterlife on a budget of only $75 million, which is a lot of money to have as an individual. It's not a lot of money to make a special effects comedy with Paul Rudd and people like that in it. And it made $205 million worldwide. That means that it barely broke even. But I don't know if they sold merch or if on streaming it made some more. But, generally a sequel has a bigger budget. And I don't know. It's so weird because even this trailer is heavy on Bill Murray and Ernie Hudson. And it's like, remember the 1984 film, the 40-year-old film? It's so weird.
And Annie Potts too.
Back.
Like that's.
It's like
Annie Potts gets like a big thing.
What percentage of Gen Z is out there like, oh my gosh, that's Annie? They got Annie Potts back.
Yeah, like big designing women fans. Anyway,
I just don't know. I don't know if they know who it's for, because like. It reminds me of like they made those Fear Street movies, right?
Yeah.
And one of the cool things they did is they made it geared towards teens, but they made it very gory because they knew that the people watching were our age. Were like, oh yeah, I read those books. And so like that felt like something that very clearly knew who its audience was. I don't get that vibe where it's like, I just... Like like the first one was the same way where it's like this feels like it's a little bit for kids, but it definitely wants to get in everybody. Well, the original Ghostbusters just kind of seems like an adult comedy that kids liked. It has that RoboCop vibe where it's like it doesn't feel like it was really made for kids. It's just something that kids were allowed to watch.
Right, and then it became a thing for kids.
Right.
This movie does the positive thing I could say for it is it does look like an episode of the cartoon, like the real Ghostbusters. If you were a fan of the real Ghostbusters, it has that vibe. There's just, I like for me, there wasn't like a single funny line in the trailer, to the point that like a couple of the lines were delivered really like they get a line from Kumail and it's like really stilted.
Yeah,
like,
I'm glad it's not all repeating old jokes, but it is repeating like like, I don't know why the library ghost is back, right? Like, I don't know. They're doing a lot of like, remember all this stuff. Remember Walter Peck. Remember, well, I get Slimer because he's always there.
Well, he wasn't in the last one. They tried to make
the lion.
They tried to make that new Slimer. Remember that stupid Muncher thing? And then they were like, "Yeah, here's Slimer again." I don't know.
Yeah, I just it's very confusing. And the big thing, we've mentioned this before, but Jason, you mentioned the '90s. They were trying to make one. They were trying to make a Ghostbusters 3 with Chris Farley, and I always remember that one because of the plot, which was that. The idea is that it's now, after Ghostbusters 2, and Ghostbusters are like a service. Like they're nationwide, and they're like firemen, which is a really good idea.
Yeah, that's
to extend it.
That's what the comic books do, if you're interested in the comic books.
And what's weird is that these new movies have done the opposite, which is everybody forgot Ghostbusters.
Right, they did the Force Awakens thing, where everybody forgot about the Jedi.
Just have them be a regular service. That would have been a really cool idea, I think, that they knew to do since the 90s. That's a way better idea, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't know. This is not made by Jason Reitman, or he has a writing credit.
Okay.
Yeah, this is someone completely new. It's the person who did the Poltergeist remake. So,
oof.
Yeah. Oof. They also did Monster House, which is good,
oh, sure.
But that Poltergeist remake was another one where it was like, this feels like it didn't have to happen.
Well, I feel like we can probably move on.
Okay, very briefly, I do want to totally derail your podcast for a moment.
Yeah,
no problem.
Ghostbusters is home to one of my favorite bits of Hollywood trivia, and one of my favorite little anecdotes, because are you big enough Ghostbusters fans to know, or just generally know, that there was a lawsuit over the song, the Ghostbusters song?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I Need a New Drug by Huey Lewis.
Yeah.
Okay. So the little bit of the story that I love so much is, for those of you who have not heard this story, that in the mid-'80s, Huey Lewis and the News were one of the biggest pop acts in the world, sold like 30 million copies. And they were doing a couple of soundtrack songs for another big budget special effects comedy called Back to the Future. Well, Ghostbusters, that was in production with Ivan Reitman, they did not know that, so they were intent on using the song I Want a New Drug for the big key ghostbusting montage in the middle of the movie. And so in the temporary cut of the movie, they had that song in there from Huey Lewis, and had cut the montage to I Want a New Drug. Then found out when they contacted Huey Lewis's people, like, no, we're tied up we've got these tracks we're doing for the Back to the Future. It's a different studio. So it's like, it would be weird. They weren't going to do it. They wouldn't let them use the song. So they have to go around and scramble to get a replacement. And so there is an R&B artist named Ray Parker Jr., a guy who normally does like love songs, like R&B type love songs. And he gets the assignment, okay, we sent you a temporary cut of this montage. We need you to make a song that sounds almost exactly like I Want a New Drug by Huey Lewis, the song that's playing in it. It's to the same beat. Only we need you to rewrite it so that it's about hunting ghosts. Also, we need the finished track in 48 hours.
Right. So he's like, okay, I'm going to need a lot of cocaine.
They're like, it's included in the assignment. Don't worry. We're ready.
So wound up slapping the song together, which incidentally became a much bigger hit than I Want a New Drug. The Ghostbusters theme in 1984, I can tell you from having lived it, was everywhere. It spent 3 weeks at number one on the Hot 100. I Want a New Drug never made it to number one at all. The movie comes out, Huey Lewis instantly sues, says this song is literally exactly I Want a New Drug, only you rewrote it to be about busting ghosts.
I'm sorry, real quick, I wanted to pause on it hit like the number one, you said, it spent 3 weeks at number one.
It spent 3 weeks at number one.
Who is sitting around casually listening to the Ghostbusters theme?
I
keep forgetting you guys were not around and conscious in 1984. It was everywhere. It was on every radio. MTV played that video every 15 minutes. It was everywhere. It was bigger than any Taylor Swift song that came out last summer. It was The Ghostbuster theme, yeah. People do not realize how bad music used to be. The Chicago Bears Super Bowl Shuffle went to #1. It was on the radio. Every time you turn on the radio, the Chicago Bears rapping about playing football.
Novelty tracks used to go a long way.
I mean, I hate to say this, but Ben Shapiro just did a rap song that also went to #1. So they still kind of do, which is a real shame.
That's fair. Anyway, sorry.
I do want to note the other great thing I love about that is when he says who you're going to call and they yell Ghostbusters, the people yelling that are all just his friends because they whipped it together. So he literally just like called whoever he could and said, could you come yell Ghostbusters in the studio for me?
It's my understanding that he sent them the track as like a temp track, as like, this is an example of what it would sound like, and then I'll go record it for real. You know, I'll get studio time. And they just got back to him like, no, we just dropped this in the movie as is. Yeah. That's, thanks. We'll send you your payment. Because it's like they didn't have time. People forget how incredibly last minute everything in the modern world is done. Everybody is working on a crazy overnight deadline. So anyway, I just love the idea of a musician getting an offer for a paycheck so huge you can't turn it down. But your assignment is, okay, it's this Huey Lewis song, only it's about catching ghosts.
It's about ghosts.
Right. It's also a nice reminder that looking at this trailer, it's like, it doesn't matter. None of this matters. This is all just built on weird bullshit.
It adds an extra level of power to the lyrics, just knowing the stress he's like, when it's like, fuck, an invisible man sleeping under your bed. There it is.
Yeah, I don't think he saw the full movie. I think they only sent him that montage, right? Because he knew he had to match it to the montage, which, you know, again, the song, if you play the two songs back to back, you will understand where the lawsuit came from. But anyway, I just love the idea of getting that work assignment and then being told you have 2 days. Like, you could make a movie about that.
Yes.
Man, somebody needs to. They should have made that instead of Dumb Money.
Yeah, or they should do like an Apollo 13-esque where everybody's running around and like
because
it's like breathless, really intense.
You gotta understand, Ray Parker Jr. You've been making music his whole life, probably continued making music his whole life after that. The world only knows one Ray Parker Jr. song. He surely did not know, you know, because he's thinking, well, maybe it'll play over that montage, maybe they'll play it again over the end credits, whatever. You know, it's just comedy. You know, it's just Bill Murray comedy. People, you know, maybe somebody here. It's like, no. This is your life now. People are going to be shouting Ghostbusters at you every time they see you until the day you die. You could live to be 140 years old.
What a nightmare. Just like a job you do, just a one-off paycheck thing that you had to cram in 48 hours, and it just derails your entire creative existence.
Incredible.
This is all you are known for, Ray Parker Jr.
Anyway. Oh, all right. Let's talk about this next one. The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare is so...
Settle down title.
Yeah, it's so British.
So British.
We were just talking about Argyle. I feel like Matthew Vaughn has made... No, I guess he's... I was gonna suggest that maybe Guy Ritchie and Matthew Vaughn are on some sort of movie race, but I think if that's the case... Guy Ritchie is winning because this is his 3rd movie in 13 months, and he also has that TV show. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know why he seems to need to make a movie every 2 or 3 months. I don't know how he's doing that. It seems like a lot.
Well, this is how out of it I am. I only knew Guy Ritchie from the stuff he made back in the day, like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, all the British Tarantino-style crime movies. What's he making now? What are these?
So he had a brief deviation where like a lot of indie directors, he did the Sherlock Holmes movies. So he blew up. He did the Aladdin movie and made a bunch of money. And he's since kind of gone back. So he has made since
The
2019
Gentleman,
Wrath of Man, and then Operation Fortune, which I haven't seen, and The Covenant. Those last 2 were in 2023. And then there's a Gentleman TV show based on that movie, and this. So he's just been blasting them out lately. He's made... This will be like his 30th thing he's directed, something like that. And like I like most of his stuff, although I will say some of his stuff gets a little too like, I don't know, cartoony, but this looks fun to me. You know, like this is what's his name? Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Being a weirdo.
It's like Guy Ritchie's
Nazis.
Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah, pretty much. Based off a true story.
It seems like if you like Guy Ritchie stuff, you will like this. It's set in World War II. Yeah, it's based on a true story. We actually wrote about the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare at Cracked. It's based on an operation called Operation Postcard, and a bunch of they had to go to do some brazen mission like stealing a battleship or something crazy. It's a really fun story and probably did not need to be stylized to this degree, but I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun.
I think so too.
Oh yeah, I just remember that another movie he did was The Man from U.N.C.L.E. with Henry Cavill.
I thought that was Matthew Vaughn.
Was that?
God damn.
No, I think that's Guy Ritchie.
It's hard to tell the difference. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, that's Guy Ritchie.
They're both doing what I would argue is a new genre called action twee, which is like quirky action. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's not bad or good. He did do The Man from U.N.C.L.E., you're right. Where it's like I would argue Tarantino does a little of it too, where it's like what's his name? The guy who did Smokin' Aces, like quirky action, where it's like we're not like other action movies. We're quirky and fun, and there's weird coincidences, and the camera moves around in very bombastic ways.
Usually
which again,
the gore is usually played for slapstick.
Yeah. And it can be often very fun. Other times it can get a little tiring. But this definitely seems like it's in that category. I don't know. I'm curious to know with the true story, is there a version of this where you could have done like an actual serious like drama or like a war drama?
I'm sure, yeah. I think that would, like, this is kind of the more outside the box idea to do with a story like that, right?
Yeah, I don't know the story enough, I guess.
I mean, there's a time when this stuff dominated the box office back in the era of the Dirty Dozen, stuff like that. But I don't know if you can still do that in 2024. But
I don't know. I am glad we have movies like this because they do seem like, I don't know, it's fun, and it seems neat enough. I don't know. I'll see it.
Yeah, man. I was into that. I really liked The Man from U.N.C.L.E. I think, we got Henry Cavill in this doing a thing. He's being a little bit zany in this trailer. I'm into that.
Henry Cavill, when he's used well, like he can be very funny, I think.
Oh, also, the world's biggest boy, Reacher, is in this. Alan Richardson.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, wearing tiny little glasses. He's wearing Dave Bautista glasses.
Oh, that's perfect. You see that big guy?
Impressive
give him bigness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful.
I still need to watch season 2 of Reacher.
I haven't watched any of it.
Oh man, Dave, it's perfect. You'll love it. You'll love it.
I know.
It's the daddest show ever made.
I know. I saw the movies. The Tom Cruise movies.
It's so much better when stretched out to a full season because the nature of the plot where there are zero twists or any kind of unexpected events, or when the main character is literally never in any kind of peril whatsoever. It's just it's just such a comfort watch. It's like watching the Great British Bake Off, where it's just like,
oh yeah,
like no, this guy's he's bigger than everyone else and he's smarter than everyone else. They pose no threat to him whatsoever. So we're just like the climax spoiler is the main evil guy like demands Reacher come to his headquarters, and it's like Reacher shows up there and it's like, no, drop your gun. And they take his gun away. And keep in mind, Reacher is like 7'8" and weighs 400 pounds of just pure muscle. It's like, aha, we've got you right where we want you. And all of his tiny little henchmen are like children next to Reacher. And as the audience, you're supposed to be saying, like, how's he going to get out of this? And again, this a man who earlier in the season, we've seen him, just kick an entire car to death with his own shoes, and at one point picks up an entire barbecue grill and throws it at a car and totals the car. He's literally just the Incredible Hulk, only he's also a super genius.
I think at one point he breaks like zip tie handcuffs just by flexing.
Right. Yeah. It's not anything. It's no effort. So they get him there. It's like, we've got you right where we want you. What are you going to do against me and my 7 or 8 much smaller henchmen? Because they have his hand in like zip ties, and he just kicks them all to death with his giant feet. And it's like, oh, okay.
His feet. We should have thought of those.
Yeah, we should have thought of that. He's bigger and stronger than all of us combined. All right. It was a completely predictable outcome.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
Also, like, I feel like every other scene is just about how big he is. It's just people marveling at how big he is.
It's a combination of people marveling how big he is, and then much, much smaller people challenging him to combat. So in the very first episode of the show, he has to go to jail on false charges, and he goes into a cell, and then there's like the scene where the tough guy prison inmate is like threatening to like sexually assault him, and it's like, well, fresh meat. But the guy in the prison is saying this into Reacher's chest, because Reacher's a full 18 inches taller and 150 pounds of pure muscle bigger than them. So it's like a child saying it to a bouncer at a bar. Like, well, what do we hear? And then sure enough, Reacher just effortlessly beats the man to death. And that's the whole show. It just repeats that beat over and over again. And that show will run for 30 years until they have to cast some other younger, bigger man. Because you will never run out of that.
I will watch every season.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Should we talk about
next trailer?
What is the next trailer? It's
Ricky Stanicky.
Oh, fuck. Ricky Stanicky. Now, wow, Siri's going nuts over here. Hey Siri, no, none of that. Siri, none of that.
She wanted to get on Ricky Stanicky, man.
Apparently, that was very strange.
Maybe she has thoughts about it.
Yeah. Anyway, this is a fucking Peter Farley. This is written by 6 people.
It's been in production since 2010.
Yeah. I think this is a decent premise. That isn't to say this movie is going to be amazing, which is that a group of friends have a fake best friend that they use to get out of things, like an excuse, that they then almost get caught faking, so they have to hire a guy. And it feels very Cable Guy-y, where like the guy they hire, in this case John Cena, starts like getting involved with their lives too much.
He's a nutcase, yeah.
Yeah. Have you guys looked at the poster for this?
No, I do agree though. The trailer seems fine, and it's a really good premise.
Right, but it also, everything, like, here, I'm linking the poster in the doc. It just looks like a 2005 comedy poster, to the point that it has on it a big yellow stamp that says, "Warning, an R-rated comedy." And it's just like, oh, God.
Wow.
It's the most repellent poster.
Well, it's one of the Farrelly brothers, right? People don't know there's something about Mary and Dumb and Dumber. These guys that dominated comedy in the 90s and have moved on to other films since then. I don't know. Is there an age where you're too old to direct an edgy comedy? Is there a point where you lose that? Because Peter Farrelly cannot be a young man at this point.
No,
I think it's roughly around the time that you release a movie in 2024 with the poster where one of the characters is dressed like Britney Spears from Hit Me Baby One More Time.
Yeah,
and the joke is that it's a man dressed like that. Like,
right, it's John Cena dressed as
a man. Wouldn't it be funny if a man wore lady clothes?
You know, that music video that came out 25 years ago.
Also, remember, this is the director of Green Book, too. Did we mention that?
Sure.
Well, he moved on to, that's the thing. He moved on to like more serious films, which again is something you do as you get older. Like you would not, these days, Jim Carrey is not doing movies like this, not very often. Right. He did the Dumb and Dumber sequel that I think made everybody sad, because when that is a pair of guys who are both 67 years old, it's just not as much fun for some reason. I know I'm sounding really ageist here, but comedy has a young people skew to it. It's just the way it is. It's always aimed at the sensibility of people who are 20 now. It's always aimed at
I think so, yeah.
college kids of the current era. So I don't know. It may be fine. It's just that they've been trying to get this movie made for 15 years, it sounds like, and it has just been bounced around to various stars, and they finally got it made. But we should kind of be rooting for this, because like the mid-budget studio release comedy is a dying thing.
Oh yeah.
Like there was a time when your top 10 movies of the year, 5 of them would be some comedy starring, some extremely famous comedian. It would be Dumb and Dumber. Like those were among, the Ace Ventura 2 was like one of the highest grossing movies of that year. That kind of doesn't happen anymore. That stuff either gets dumped directly to streaming, saving the theaters for, superhero movies and dramas.
We're in a dry spell with comedy movies, I'd say. I think TV were pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's been
some good jokes on TV. That's true.
Yeah. I as to being too old, I think you just have to like work harder the older you get. Like you have to pay more attention to like what young people are joking about and doing. That's what I'd say. Like it's easy. I think it's easy for people like this to go like, yeah, I know comedy. I got it. I'll just keep doing it. You know what I mean? And they get set in that way where it's more of a refusal to change.
Yeah, I mean, that's true across the board for comedy. I think it's more, I definitely agree with Jason. It seems most glaring in comedy, and it's when you're it's most glaring in this kind of comedy, like the Farrelly Brothers style of comedy specifically.
Right, because, you look at, like, drama, like Scorsese, he can always make a drama, right? That genre doesn't change.
Not really.
Knows what makes a good drama. Mm-hmm. Whereas comedy, it really is, like, the style of comedy. Like, we're really into absurdist comedy right now, right? Like, slapstick I would say, is a version, like, absurdist and slapstick go together, but you have to know, like, the right kind of slapstick. We've gotten out of the Judd Apatow stuff, which is good because that's I feel like that's even a harder thing for someone to do if they're not in tune with kids, right? Because it's very pop culture dependent and stuff like that.
Right, it's like iterative of Kevin Smith to a degree.
Yeah, and that sort of thing. It's like you have to be watching all the things, right? You have to be with it. You have to know what kids are into. So I would argue slapstick, like you could say like that doesn't die, right? But the Farrelly Brothers specifically, I feel like they had a very brief window.
It's because it's not totally slapstick, right? It's it's offensive. It's like trying to be shocking. It's trying to be outrageous specifically.
Right, which gets old very fast.
Yeah. That's harder to do. Especially when you're an old guy, it's just weird. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. Again, it depends. I think it depends, but most of the time, I think you have to work harder.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And this looks like just that it's 2 decades old. Like it just has all the like the vibes and the DNA. Like I don't know how to describe this. All the shots look like a commercial. Does that make sense? Where it's like the actors, everybody just feels like they're in a Geico commercial a little bit. Did you guys get that vibe?
So I think so. I think I know what you're talking about. It's just a little bit of an antiquated style.
Yeah, where it's like kind of cute. I don't know if that means the movie's going to be good or bad because trailers are a nightmare. It's hard to gauge, especially comedies.
For sure. Somebody mentioned Cable Guy. That's, I think, the best way this movie. If like this movie ends up being weirdly dark, then I'll be more interested in it for sure. But it's a good premise. Maybe this works. I like John Cena.
Yeah, I know why this has been around for a while because I think it's a premise that like they sort of knew like, oh, we got something here, you know. Should we talk about what is this Tuesday?
Let's do it.
Tuesday with
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
The bird is Satan.
Oh, the
right?
bird. They're talking about Elaine from Seinfeld. No,
Julia Louis-Dreyfus is in this. All right, it looks like the bird is death, which makes a lot more sense. It talks like death. It's about a woman and her teenage daughter who is dying, and a bird shows up, and the synopsis says they must confront death when it arrives in the form of a talking bird. So...
yeah, it's like this bird that changes size, and it seems like the trailer then becomes about the daughter teaching the mom how she's going to continue living her life once the daughter is inevitably gone because she has a terminal illness.
Right.
This looks very art house, very heavily symbolic. I suspect it's not very many people going to see it, but I love that. I love to watch what Julia Louis-Dreyfus does because, as a lot of people know, she's a billionaire. Not from Seinfeld. She's from a billionaire family, like the Dreyfus name. This is a famous and very powerful family in France. They have a scandal called the Dreyfus Affair. That's actually a distant relative of hers. So whatever she's doing, she's not doing it for the money. She's not doing it to try to keep her career going. She's doing it because she wants to. She doesn't have to do anything. So the fact that she chose this dramatic role, there's not like a moment of levity in this trailer. It is 100% her talking about mortality and having your own offspring appears to have a terminal illness, and that she, like, knowing you're going to outlive your child, and it's about sadness and just coming to terms with death or whatever. So I don't know. I think it's interesting that she chose that.
Yeah, I guess the cynical view is that she's going for an award, but I don't think that's it here. I think, this is clearly something that interested her, and she looks like she's doing a great job in it. This does look like a good movie, I think.
It does. I just want to call out one moment in the trailer that made me laugh out loud, and that's not what they wanted.
Is it when the bird started talking?
It's a reprise of the bird talking. There's this huge emotional sequence toward the end of the trailer where it's Julia Louis-Dreyfus and the daughter sharing this very crushingly bittersweet, poignant moment, and then it cuts sharply into the bird talking again, and it's the jarring beat between this super emotional moment and the swelling music, and then the bird with its weird cartoon Frank Welker voice going like, "I'm flying through the air now." It hit me like a board to the face. And it's like the last image of the trailer, so that's like the last impression I have of this movie, is laughing at the silly bird voice.
I hope throughout it keeps going like, "I would like some seeds, please. Give me some seeds from your palm.
Crackers.
Yeah.
And peanut butter."
It's very jarring, like when the birds start talking and it just sounds like a monster.
Yeah.
It's very jarring.
It's wild.
It's not typically how parrots sound. And I love that they're just like dealing with, because the first thing it says is like, "Your daughter has to go now." And like, I get that it's supposed to be death, but my first question would be, are you Satan? And does that mean that you're going to take the soul of my daughter? I like, because she sees it too. That's also clear. Like, they both see the fucking bird. So that implies that the bird is, in fact, a magical being that has joined them. So I'd have a lot of questions for that bird, is my point. Mm-hmm. I would be very suspicious of the bird. I don't think the bird is very comforting.
You wouldn't turn your back on a bird like that, that's for sure.
No. Not at all.
Let's move on.
But yeah, it looks good. All right. This next one is Forever Young. What do you guys think of this? Not the one with Mel Gibson.
Not the Mel Gibson
is a pilot.
According to IMDb, I looked up Forever Young. I found 12 movies that were either called Forever Young or they had Forever Young as part of a 3-word title. But that is, man, you've got to be careful in naming your films. This is going to get lost real fast. You've got to have this, keep this stuff in mind. Call it something else, you cowards. I get it. It may be perfect for the premise is about aging and about there's a wonder drug that lets people return to their youth. And again, just like the previous film we just talked about, it's going to be heavily symbolic because it's about accepting the passage of time and what would you do if you could just go back and do all the stuff again? And there's the one guy's like, I don't have any regrets. I just want to go, and I don't want to do it all over. And that's, the actual logistics of how it all works is secondary. It's about regret and aging and loss and your own mortality. This is would be a good double header with that previous movie. I'm sure if you just wanted to be very sad for the rest of the weekend, this could be your Barbenheimer. If you could just want to spend the rest of the weekend contemplating your mortality, watch these two movies back to back. But again, maybe something that would win awards. It looks like it will be a powerful movie with a lot of sad moments that I probably will not watch, but other people, that's really their thing.
Yeah, do you guys agree with me here? I don't buy the guy saying he doesn't want to take the drug, and here's why. Is I've seen that in other movies. Death Becomes Her, for example. Anything with a vampire. But whenever those other movies do this, there's always a price to pay. like it's, death becomes her, you become a corpse, right? You fall apart, you slowly just disintegrate. Vampire, you're selling your soul, et cetera, et cetera. And maybe there is something in here, but they don't show it. From what I can tell, all they're saying is like, take this drug and you'll be young again. And the guy being like, well, I have no regrets, I've lived my life. It's like, sure, but you could do it again, right? Like, are you scared you're gonna fuck it up?
That'd be pretty
like,
cool,
what's
right?
the downside? Right. Like, what's the downside of that? Being like, I lived a good life, and it's like, that's fine. Yeah, you're ready to move on.
The downside is everybody you know and care about dies, right? So like,
yeah, but you can start over.
It's the price of immortality. I think the pretty classic price of immortality.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I guess if it's immortality, I'd be thinking about it a little harder. But just assuming they're like, here's another like 80 years. I'd be like, cool. I want to see all those new movies that'll come out. And then all his friends,
I want to see how A Song of Ice and Fire ends.
Right, but then everybody around him is also taking the drug. So like, you're right, but also it seems like that's, I don't know, man. It seems like a cool deal. That's all.
That's what the movie's about, though. It's supposed to be, you're curious, why would this guy make that decision? That's the point. Because the idea is that in our present culture, we do worship youth. And this is, especially in Hollywood, you have actors that try to stay looking 25 until they're 60 and get surgery and all that. And Tom Cruise definitely is not letting himself age into grandpa roles. He's still playing the same roles he would have played when he was 25 years old as the secret agent jumping off the roof of a train. And so this is partially about that, like this desire to cling to being a certain age and worshiping youth. And, as opposed to just accepting that this is your life and it's time for the next group of young people to take over. That's what it's about. That's probably going to be the point. And I'm saying that having watched the trailer, pretty sure I can guess everything that happens in the movie, but maybe I'm wrong.
Right. I don't know. Yeah, it definitely looks interesting. I'm with you where I'm like, I'm not sure when I'll see this. For the reason where I feel like I get that message and what it's going to be, but maybe it'll surprise us,
Speaking of the movie having a title that's been used a million times,
I was about to say,
I remember Sean Baby wrote a column about a Jean-Claude Van Damme action movie called Hardcore, where the core is spelled like Marine Corps, like CORPS.
Oh hell yeah!
And in the column he was like, wait a second. Is this honestly the first action movie to ever be called Hardcore Corpse, like Hardcore? And it is. He's like, wow, how were they the first ones to think of that? You would think there'd be 13 direct-to-DVD action movies all called Hardcore.
100%.
Yeah, I think there was a Contra game at some point, but how did they miss that one? Yeah.
This one is Immaculate, which, yes, there are several.
This one's not the title of a Rod Stewart song, though. Unlike Forever Young.
No, well, not yet.
Not yet, yeah.
This is about a nun who has an immaculate conception, and sure seems like it's not Jesus that put that baby in there. Sure seems like it's the other one.
This is not a remake of
The Omen. It felt like
anything like that. Okay.
No, they're making the first Omen, which is coming out, and this looks incredibly like that. I love Satan vibes, and what I mean by that, and this doesn't have that completely, but like what I love about the Omen is that Satan doesn't like show up. There's no demons. There's like a dog, and like accidents happen, and like people who are like sort of like possessed or in league with Satan.
So you mean when the Dark Lord's just kind of vibing rather than
exactly
yeah,
where we don't see a demon
light
where they're
touch.
not like, it's what I don't love about the Conjuring ones where they're like, here's the devil. It has a name. You can punch it, like you can fight it. It just doesn't seem as threatening when it's like a physical entity. This feels like the other way, although I'm not certain, but it feels like there's just like a lot of shit going on around her, as opposed to there being like demons jumping out at her.
It looks gnarly. Like, I love The Omen, obviously. And definitely original Omen vibes from this. I wasn't impressed with like the beginning of the trailer, but like it picks up, and then by the end of it, I was like, all right, okay, I think this looks genuinely like it could be spooky.
Those nuns are dropping. Looks fun.
Oh yeah, that dude falls off the top of the abbey in the background. Yeah, that's real. Yeah. Like, it's all for you, Damien.
Yeah, exactly. It's got Omen vibes.
Now, star Sydney Sweeney. Who made this film? Who's our director?
Michael
here?
Mohan.
Somebody I didn't recognize.
Yeah, they haven't done much. They did some short films. It looks like it's up and coming director. They did something called The Voyeurs, which was a movie, which I've never heard of. So yeah, it's fairly indie, I'd say. It looks like they've done like thrillers in the past or something like that.
Yeah,
so The Voyeurs is another Sydney Sweeney movie. So there's the connection there.
Oh, okay. Well, how do I know Sydney Sweeney?
Euphoria, probably.
No.
White Lotus. Did you watch that?
No. Handmaid's Tale. That would be it. Handmaid's Tale. That's the answer. Yeah, but like this, horror trailers are always such a fucking toss-up.
Especially horror trailers with nuns in them lately. So I was like kind of looking at this like when it started, but like I said,
a lot of nuns
into it.
Yeah.
Any
other thoughts on
more
this?
People off of abbeys.
Yeah.
I don't know when in our culture we all agreed that nuns are extremely creepy, but I'm glad we got there.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody does seem to agree. You stick a nun in your movie, there's nothing good's about to happen.
Mm-mm.
I wonder if it's that, because, like, my mom, like, went to school with nuns, I believe. I think. She can correct me on that. But, you know, like, there's that stern nun idea, which I think came from the generation who had to go to schools with nuns.
Yeah.
And now I have no science to back this up. Maybe the new generation, we didn't have that as much, and we're just looking at them from afar being like, they're fucking creepy. Like, they're just dressed all the same. You know, they I don't know. It is weird that it took us so long.
If we have any listeners out there who are nuns, we mean no offense toward real life actual nuns. I'm just saying they make good horror movie villains.
They do.
I'm saying that in the world of film, if somebody enters a dim building and there's a lot of nuns there, it's not going to be a happy scene. Somebody's possessed.
It is functionally the same as walking in and seeing a bunch of mannequins, or like walking in and seeing
clowns,
or blindfolded nurses from Silent Hill. Like, you're turning right back around and leaving. No nuns for me today,
outfit.
thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're wearing like 68% of a ghost costume when you're a nun.
Yeah.
So it's nothing personal, but you know what you did.
Yeah, exactly. Monkey Man. Let's talk about Monkey Man.
Let's do it.
This trailer kind of blew up. It came out of nowhere. It's Jordan Peele fucking produced it, but Dev Patel is the director of it and stars and co-writer. And it's just fucking, let's do some more John Wick. And I agree. Let's do some more John Wick.
Dev Patel apparently is an accomplished martial artist, wanted to do action films, could not get cast as in that role because I guess, you know, how Hollywood works. So he made this movie, and this is one of the best trailers I've seen in my life. In terms of the way it's edited, it's long, but it's paced out to where it kind of slowly builds the way these movies slowly build, the good ones do. There's a slow building of tension, then everything explodes when he goes on his rampage, and it is spectacular. The movie looks like it's going to be spectacular. It's anybody, if you're listening to this, if you've not seen the movie is called Monkey Man, go look at it and go look at for the Red Band trailer. They cut some moments of extreme violence for the main trailer, but to get the full experience, look up the Red Band trailer on YouTube and get excited for this.
Yeah, watch a man get his head lit on fire.
On a stove. It's pretty awesome.
On a stove. It is awesome. This I don't know what there is to say about this trailer except for what you said. Like, this trailer is fucking awesome. I'm so excited for this.
The only thing I do...
Oh, go ahead, Jason.
The only thing I do want to say is there are a lot of people on Twitter saying, oh my gosh, it's like an Indian John Wick. It's like John Wick in Mumbai. From people who kind of are acting like they don't have action movies in India.
Right.
go look up some Tollywood action movies if you feel like, because you're going to realize, I think a lot of audiences in India will be bored by this film, because it's like, well, but why is he not picking up one of the henchmen and then beating 200 other henchmen to death with that henchman that he's swinging by his legs like a baseball bat while ramping a motorcycle over a volcano? Like, why is it just this one man beating 6 men to death in a kitchen? Where's the scale here? Is this just, are we building up to the real action?
We're just not ready for that yet.
No, American audiences are not.
No. Man, Dev Patel, I at this point I want to go back through, because it feels like basically if he's in it, it's probably a pretty good movie. It feels like at this point, like, I love his taste in weird, especially.
Yeah, the Green Knight was so extremely my jam.
Oh yeah, I love the Green Knight. And yeah, I just, fuck, man. He's wearing a monkey mask and beating people up.
Yeah, just
it's
beating the Christ out of people.
Yeah, I don't know what to say here. It just looks really goddamn good. I didn't realize that he was just into martial arts. I figured it was either that or Dev Patel wanted to get into martial arts and was like, how can I make this a tax write-off? It was one or the other.
Like a Passenger 57 situation.
Yeah, where he just like made this movie around being able to get swole up and fucking learn how to kick people's asses. Yeah, everybody check out the trailer. What is it? The plot, who fucking matters? I think it's a revenge. Basically, like, people murdered his mother and his family, and he's trying to kill them.
The evil, wealthy people in Mumbai, some evil tycoon is oppressing the masses and killed someone close to him, and now he has to seek societal justice by kicking enough asses with his bare hands.
Yeah, and we're gonna watch it.
Yeah,
more than
obviously, it's gonna be awesome.
Speaking of the opposite of that, Aggro Drift. Aggro Drift. So I want to tell you guys my journey on this.
Sure.
This is a trailer. It doesn't have that many views, and I was looking for more hype. And I ran into this trailer, and I started watching it, and I got about 15 seconds in before I went over to close it, because I was like, okay, this is like some really weird indie project, you know, that some kids did or something, because it didn't look particularly impressive. And then it just said, from the director of Gummo.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a fucking second. What am I looking at here? And so I had to include it, because what's going on here?
It's Harmony Korine, who, if you know, he directed Gummo and what is it, Spring Breakers?
Spring Breakers.
He wrote Kids.
He sure did.
It looks like a 3DO cutscene. Like, it looks like a cutscene from a next-gen video game system in 1994 or something. It's crazy.
So all the colors are reversed.
There,
right?
Okay.
It's negative. Well, that's that. I'm not sure that's exactly it, but you know,
that's
like,
definitely part of it. Yeah, it looks like negative, but it's also like colored in like with like neon and
right.
It looks like a real shitty 3D polygonal
like a camera
game.
filter.
Yeah.
Like a mini DV camera filter is what it looks like, and it's about an assassin. That's the other part. It like starts with him being like, I am the world's greatest assassin, and I'm like, okay, so this was made by a teenager.
He's also fighting like robots and stuff.
It does. The trailer starts to look a little better visually, but it also, by the way, has terrible reviews. It already has reviews, and everybody's just like, I don't know what this is or why he made it.
It's kind of his speed, right?
Yeah, that's his thing. He makes weird, off-putting stuff, and I've always wondered how guys like this pay the bills, because he's not cranking out a movie every year. He did this, and then it looks like, I'm looking at IMDb, the last project before this was like 4 years ago, and then he did like a Gucci video for like a corporate video in 2019, and then a film called The Beach Bum in 2019, and then didn't work for 3 years before that, and he made a music video for Rihanna. Did a Dior ad in 2 years before that, in 2014. Spring Breakers was 2012. Like, in terms of mainstream movies that would actually make some sort of a profit, the last thing he's made was 14 years ago. So does he have another job? Does he do, because he doesn't have other credits. So people you hear about like this, where they make a weird experimental film once every 6 or 7 years. Like the guy who did, oh gosh, the weird time travel movie that I can't remember what it's called now.
Primer?
Yeah, the Primer in Upstream Color. Like that's the guy that makes a movie like every 8 years, and it's like, so what are you doing between that? Do you own a restaurant or something, or are you just working at a job?
I think so. There's an Onion article that reminds me of this. The Onion article was Shy Brothers in affluent suburb already feeling pressure to become auteur filmmakers, which is what I think is the answer. Is a lot of these people were just rich. A lot of these people are just people who had money and who like. I wondered that when I first started getting into writing movies and stuff. Like, how do people get these movies made? And like these movies that come out of nowhere, you know, like your Spike Jonze's, and then you look into it and you're like, oh, they were just rich and connected. So I think I don't want to say that about this person, right? Like without looking it up, but a lot of the time, it's people who already had money who have that ability to just sort of do whatever they want. You know, and I don't know, maybe he does own a successful like franchise, you know, of restaurants, and that's how he got his money. Like, I don't want to say they were necessarily born rich or make a judgment call on that or act like it's good or bad, but that is part of the pattern I've seen, where it's in some way they've probably already have some amount of money to do this to begin with. Like Neil Breen. Neil Breen is basically that. He just, you know... has a special talent. Like, I think Neil Breen is just he's a real estate guy, I guess, but he's clearly independently like rich from that he can make his movies on the side. So right. I have to assume that's what's going on here.
Harmony Korine's been around for a while too. Like, Kids is from the 90s, and so is, so is Gummo, and so I don't know.
Well, like Gummo and Kids, you're not getting like residual checks like that are paying for a house in Hollywood, right? Like they're not that kind of movie. I'm sure they made some money on DVD and you sell the rights to cable and all that, but I don't know. I'm just always curious because you know, we've talked about this before, that there are some actors who you know and you've seen in commercials, you've seen show up on sitcoms, but they're working in restaurants, they're waiting tables. Even though you can watch them on your TV, everybody assumes that if you appear on a screen, you're wealthy. And it's like, no, not at all. It doesn't work like that. So these guys who seem to have the luxury of just kind of picking and choosing, they're not having to go out and do, because on IMDb, you look at a lot of directors, what you see is this giant list of like TV episodes they've directed. Because it's clear that in between features, they're having to work as a hired gun, and they'll go and direct an episode of this, you know, of CSI and an episode of this show and this, and they just drop in and get paid decent money, and they can make a good living that way. But then you've got guys like this where it's like, no, like he just disappears for 5 or 6 years and reappears with the weirdest thing you've ever seen in your life, knowing that it's not going to make any money. Again, nobody producing this thought is going to make them all rich.
500 people are going to see this movie.
Get me the writer of Kids. Like I need the writer of Kids to slap something together.
The creative powerhouse behind Gummo.
Yeah, I'm now gonna look this up because I am curious. Like, this guy has a lot of projects, I noticed, and I think he does do like commercials. That's the other thing. When a filmmaker does a lot of commercials, sometimes it's not on their IMDb, so it's possible he is just working. He's just doing the stuff, and not, you know, and like just not advertising it or anything like that. So that's entirely possible.
I love that he paused from whatever it was he was doing to give us this weird robot movie.
Yeah, whatever which I'm gonna have to see, I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of have to see it. It looks
not getting good reviews.
No, but it looks weird enough in an indecipherable way that I sort of have to watch at least a few minutes of it. I mean, what on earth even is this?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he's going for here, but.
I don't know, man.
It looks
Aggro Drift.
It looks real weird. Aggro Drift, by the way, the I in Drift is a number 1. I didn't write it that way because I'm not going to. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to play his game. But
Sweet.
It's Aggro Drift number 1 is how it's pronounced.
Yeah,
don't get me started on that.
Go ahead.
Don't get me started on that because they released the logo for Tron 3 that's in filming, and they replaced the O in Tron with the number 3.
That doesn't even begin to work. That's like 7 all over.
It in no way does a 3 look like a letter O. You could replace the R with a 3 more easily than you could replace the O. But it's like they don't care. But no, you can't just stick a number anywhere in your thing and expect us to just go along with it. We have a society we're trying to run here.
Exactly. I'm so mad at Tron 3. I'm so mad that they had the guy who did the last Top Gun and Tron Legacy. Like, he was going to do it. He wanted to do a third Tron, and they didn't for so long, and now it's a new director, and like Jared Leto, and like I was so excited. I was so excited for a new Tron, and they just kind of fucking took the wind out of my sails. Although Gillian Anderson's in it, so that's something.
Yeah, that's a big check in the positive column.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's move on.
Should we think some more producers?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Hold on, sorry. All right. Big old thank you to Dan Hackroyd.
Thank you.
Thank you to Davey, the Ghost of East Las Vegas, Francis.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to David Knife Boot Henson. Thank you to Deborah's awesome. Barbara's great and cancer can go to hell.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to Dracula, the bus driving vampire.
Toot toot.
Thank you to Drefless and his elephant army. Demand you watch Lair of the White Worm.
Sure.
Can do. Thank you to E.T., the extravagant terresticle.
Thank you.
Thank you to Ed Nugg.
Thanks so much.
Thank you to Exploding Rooms.
Thank you.
Thank you to Funky J. Mostly comes out at night. Mostly.
All right, let me swoop in here. Thank you to Happy Holidays from the Ghost of Dave, Andrew Thomas.
Thank you.
Thank you to Heathcliff's Helping Handfuls.
Thank you.
Thank you to ImpossibleWorlds.net. Issue 3 is out now. Gorge yourself on our fiction. Gorge.
Thank you.
Thank you to Jade the Crow Baron says, build a guillotine in rich people's yard. 2024.
Thank you.
Thank you to Chris Shanovich.
Thank you.
Thank you to Lieutenant Frank Drebin, Police Squad.
Thank you.
Thank you to Look Mom and a podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mabel. Step on me. Step on me.
Step on me.
Thank you to Mackenzie Fuck Shuffling with Willem Dafoe's confusingly large dick. Chill.
Thank you.
And thank you to Mercurial Oz.
Thanks. I want to talk about these fucking Longlegs trailer or posters. Jason, I've been chronicling Longlegs' marketing
over the past
because they put out
few episodes of Hypecast.
Yeah, they put out several teasers with no title of the movie and just like a couple of brief shots that were really creepy. That included a nun, and as you pointed out, these also include a nun. Now they put out. Finally, they've decided. Finally they've given us a title, and they're putting out a series of posters, these pictures, and letting us know that it's Micah Monroe and Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage is in fact playing a serial killer that Micah Monroe is hunting. I'm just so into this.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of these?
I mean, all the trailers and posters have been real creepy. I like marketing campaigns that lean into a vibe. It can get pretty gimmicky because we're not seeing anything about the movie, but
yeah, one at a time is how I think of it. Like if every horror movie did this at once, I'd get real sick of it.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm hyped for this movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is a film I would not have had any reason to care about or have heard about. It is purely the cleverness of their marketing and how beautifully it's been done. That I know it sounds gross to say, what a great job marketing these people did. But no, that's an art form. There's so many horror trailers could have been edited by an AI. They've got the exact same beats, the exact same jump scares, the exact same score, everything about them. To be creative in how you put the film out there, that's such a nice thing to do for the people who took the trouble to make the film.
Yeah.
You give people something to talk about, and I've seen this stuff all shared all over Twitter. Like that takes skill, and many studio movies do not put this level of effort into it because they really don't care.
Yeah.
It's weird how I'm assuming.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, you go.
I was just saying it's real Blair Witch vibes.
Yeah. And like Blair Witch and like a lot of successful marketing campaigns, often you learn that the filmmakers are involved because, like, it's weird that they don't do that more, where it's like, yeah, of course, like the Alien trailer was, I believe, edited by Ridley Scott, where it's like, yeah, they're the ones who want you to see the movie, right? So, like, I know it doesn't always work out that way, but you can always tell when a trailer, like, or you'll see it when a director comes out and says, like, man, I wish they didn't show that in the trailer for the movie I am putting out, where, like, they'll be mad at their own marketing. And so it's weird how marketing works, where it feels like a lot of these places will like remove the filmmakers from the equation, which seems like bad and also like more expensive. Like I imagine, again, if you went to the writers and filmmakers and said like, do you want to work on the marketing? They'd probably do it for very little money because they want their movie to be seen.
Well, this is how Ryan Reynolds became the face of it everywhere you turn on every billboard, is that, you know, when he went out and with his own money shot that little segment of Deadpool to prove that like a proof of concept that a gory, profane Deadpool film could work. And then there's a whole history there that with that Sony leak, it got out to fans and that built up the hype and actually got the film made. He started his own, like basically ad campaign promotion company.
Right.
So all of these ads he does for his own vodka brand, for Mint Mobile, all that stuff, that's his own company producing those ads. And it was all about saying, no, I'm like, I don't know if people remember the way that he did the promotion for the original Deadpool, but he did these, you know, all these spots where it's always him in the costume. It's stuff shot specifically for the promo. It's not just cuts from the movie. It's him doing a bit in the costume, and it's him doing it himself with his own, like he's writing it, he's coming up with it. And it was worlds above what you were seeing done with, you know, with other franchises. And it made all the difference in the world because he's always kind of making fun of himself. It's not like when The Rock goes live on Instagram or whatever. It's very funny and self-effacing and all that. But it is him, the creative person, taking the reins and saying, no, I'm going to show you how to reach people, how to reach the fans. He's kind of made a new template for that.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of industries need that without pulling from any personal experiences, like the podcast industry, for example, and YouTube ad industry is very troublesome with this, where they really like people don't listen to those ads, but perhaps they would if you made them interesting. And by making them interesting, you have to give the creators some sort of control over that. And like it makes just for better ads. I don't know. And like, isn't the point to get more people's attention, to make people want to watch them as opposed to skip over them? And like, yeah, they're killing it with this.
Yeah. These little the posters are awesome. You should find the trailers, listener, if you haven't. They're like genuine, like little pieces of art, like little short horror films.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch Nicolas Cage play a fucking just a maniac, like a terrifying maniac. I'm
gonna make a bold prediction. I bet he does it understated. All right.
Yeah. I mean, you never know. You never know
with Nicolas Cage. That is very true.
Yeah. The only other story I threw in here was that Jon Stewart is returning to The Daily Show, which people have kind of digested for a little bit. It's been more than a week since. He's only returning to Mondays, I assume because he was like, absolutely not. And they're like, just do one day. And he was like, all right, I'll do the first day.
He's also
first day of the week.
Returning as executive producer.
Yes. So he's going to probably make a lot of money.
Yeah.
To host for one day and produce.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of makes sense. Like, he did his Apple show and they wouldn't let him do the episode that he wanted to do about China, I think it was. So he walked from that. I guess he still wants to.
It makes tons of sense.
It makes sense.
The landscape has totally changed since he left, though. The ratings to Comedy Central and the ratings to The Daily Show and that, you know, the subsequent hosts they've had are, I don't know, 10% of what they were before. The audience has moved on. The audience gets that type of information from YouTube now or from podcasts. I think Cody is doing a better show than Jon Stewart was doing, in terms of, because the advantage that YouTube has is doing the deep dives into the subject, which is, I feel like, where the world went for the people that like to consume that kind of content. And that's what, you know, John Oliver did with his show, where you've got a couple of funny bits, but it's like, okay, now we're going to spend 20 minutes explaining the details of an issue. And it's so much more compelling that The Daily Show as it existed before, where it's a few news stories and you talk to a guest. Guest interviews are always boring in every show. Mm-hmm. I think if you brought it back the way it exists before, I think the world has moved on. I really do. And He existed in a moment of time where he was in the Obama era examining the rise of the craziness on the right that was the result of the Obama years, and the rise of all the conspiracy stuff on the right, and the rise of what would eventually be the Trump movement. But how long's he been gone? 8 years, 9 years? He wasn't there when Trump got elected, right? Then he pulled the ripcord.
No.
So in 2015, something like that. The world, the media landscape has changed so profoundly. I will be very interested to know if this even makes a ripple.
He's definitely going to have to, they're going to have to follow the Last Week Tonight thing by putting it on YouTube. For the reason you're saying. People don't watch Comedy Central. They're not going to, they will watch it on their lunch break on YouTube, you know? It reminds me of when he was covering Bush after 9/11, him saying subliminal is no longer a punchline, meaning that this show has to fundamentally change now that the stakes are higher, where it's like, it wasn't just like, we couldn't just make fun of how the president talked silly. Like now he's bringing us into a war. And that sort of still applies here, like you're saying, which is like, opening monologues, talk shows, like interviews of guests. It's not really what people are looking for anymore. They are looking for people to explain things, to actually like break things down and why something is that way, and why things are so fucked up. So like, I don't know. I didn't watch too much of his new show, and like I'm forever grateful about his old show getting. You know, I grew up on the Daily Show, so I want him to adapt, you know? I don't know if he will. I know they've clearly, like, Trevor Noah was good. He was very good. But then once he left, they seemed to just refuse to hire somebody. And there were people, right? There were
like
people
Roy
that people
Jr. that everybody really wanted. Yeah.
And I don't know what was going on. Why they just fucking couldn't do it. And now this is such a weird like hybrid where it's like I think they just wanted to get Jon Stewart back permanently, and maybe they're still courting him. I don't know, but now it's like SNL where it's like different hosts, and that I don't think that works for a news show, you know, because it actually points out. Because that's the other thing. It kind of points out the game, right? Which is that like, wait, was it Jon Stewart all these years, or was it just a team of writers? You know what I mean? Like by making the host kind of interchangeable, it's like, who is this coming from anymore? You know, like especially a political show, you need to have like sort of a starting point, like a person, like a rock that's there that you're like, this is the personality that this is all coming from. Like Some More News very much comes out of Cody, right? Cody and Katie. And so like if we just had different people saying the stuff, that would be weird, right? And so I don't know, like I haven't watched the new Daily Show, but do they allow the hosts to like inject their opinions in there, or are they just saying lines about news stories?
I don't know.
I honestly don't know.
I just think the format. I also think that the talk show format feels passe, because like right now it's something that didn't exist when he was on the air before. There are Twitch personalities that are very political and they do a lot of political debate, and they will stay on there for 6 straight hours talking about a subject. And it is all about this person and their viewpoint. And obviously, you've got the Joe Rogan fans who will watch his show for 3 or 4 hours a day, and they will listen to 12 hours a week of Joe Rogan. It's just a different way of approaching things, where it's not a whole bunch of pre-written jokes. It's just jumping from quip to quip. And okay, here's making fun of how Mitch McConnell looks like a turtle, and look how fat Chris Christie is, and here's Donald Trump said something outrageous, and look how tiny his hands are. Like it feels very old-fashioned. It's I don't know, but he also is getting older, and I don't know. I'll be interested. I'll try to watch it, but I suspect the way I interact with it is when he says some really killer thing for 45 seconds that will get spread on Twitter. And that will be, most people will be satisfied with just that amount of it.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I also think, the half-hour format, I've talked about this. We've talked about it with Some More News, where it's like, what if we got network and they're like, make a 22-minute show? And it's like, how do we even do that? Our shows are like an hour long. Like being limited by length is also a big issue with political shows and stuff like this, where it's like, I don't know how I don't know how Last Week Tonight manages to do it. It seems impossible. You have to bite off very little chunks as you go. And like you're saying, where it's like, H-Bomber guy puts out a 4-hour long video on plagiarism and everybody loves it because that's just how people do it now. Like they like to kind of control when they watch something. And so for that reason, you can put out hours of content and people can just choose when to start and stop it as they go. So, yeah, I don't know.
But just one final thing to say on that. I know that it sounds earlier like it sounded like I was saying that I think Cody is a better host of his show than Jon Stewart is of his show. I 100% objectively believe that, by the way. I think Cody is better at it than Jon Stewart. I am unashamed to say that.
I agree.
I think he has Cody spent years growing into that role from when he first showed up at Cracked, which has now been, Jesus Christ, like 15 years ago. He's got many hundreds of hours of experience doing this and of perfecting his delivery. And I think he's as good as anybody you'll see on cable or, there was at one point when Jon Stewart was making like $50 million a year to host the Daily Show. I don't know how much Cody takes in from Some More News. Hopefully it's roughly that amount of money.
More or less, yeah.
But no, I think if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, it's Some More News is the name of the show on YouTube, and it's a YouTube institution, and everybody loves it. But I think he's legitimately a good host of a show, regardless. It's not for YouTube. I mean, just period.
Especially a political show, the frustration that people feel, I think, is something he's very good at representing.
Yeah,
it reminds me of. Did you ever read the comics? What are they called? Get Your War On. There was the guy who it was a comic series where it was clip art, and my God, I forget the guy's name, and I apologize. But it was during the war in Iraq, and it was just this utter frustration with what was happening and like disbelief, and like the language was they were just so mad in a very funny way, and it always reminds me of Cody a little bit too. All right. Well, should we thank some more producers then? All right. I am looking at the wrong document. Here we go. Big old thank you to Mike the Lurker. Thank you very much. Thank you to Mongolian Throat Skanking.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mr. Tell Your Wife how many Patreon subscriptions you have before you agree to buy a house.
Thank you.
Thank you to musical guests, the Ludicrismus Children's Choir.
Thank you.
Thank you to No One Can Hear You Scream in Space McNulty.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to Norm from Cheers. Thank you to Pete Forpagel.
Thank you.
Thank you to Numenal Ultra Microscopic Silical Volcano Coniosis Anti-Disestablishment Terrorism Jones.
Thank you.
Thank you to Rev MD.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to Ricky Cilantro.
Thank you.
Thank you to Rosemary's Baby from Eraserhead.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to Screaming Horse Pyramid.
Thank you. Okay, let me jump in here. Thank you to Sorry Cop, world's most laughable centrist.
Thank you.
Thank you to Steven. Thank you to the conveniently placed self-destruct button on the top of every baby's head.
Thank you.
Thank you to the Midnight Patron. What patrons at midnight?
Thank you.
Thank you to the Oatmeal Savage. Thank you to the 2B Terror Bunny says, the strikes may be over, but egg David Zaslav for fun and profit.
Thank
Egg him directly. Thank you to these 7 Bs.
Thanks.
Thank you to Tiger Jorah's Pratt Thompson. Raindrops keep falling on my head.
Thank you.
Thank you to Tip Drizzle.
Thank
you to Tux.
Thanks.
Thank you to Vincent. Thank you to Why Don't You Take a Flying Fuck at the Moon?
Thank you.
And thank you to your mom.
Thank you. And that's a podcast.
Dave, on the subject of mothers and fathers and children, do you perhaps have a child that is a child of the union of you searching for movies that deserve more hype? This is my weird way of asking you. Do you have a movie that deserves more hype?
I feel like you started that with no idea how you're going to finish it.
I sure didn't, Dave. I jumped right in.
I do, Tom. I do. Big old shout out to Dr. Garby, who skeeted me this trailer, skeeted it right at me. Yep. This is called Stop Motion. It's got a little bit of hype. It's got a little more view counts than I prefer for these.
It has 200,000 views on YouTube. If anything, it has too much
that's
hype.
Way more now.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've showed us trailers on here where we were the first people to watch it.
Right?
Had been
yeah, that's more than I. Yeah.
It had been refreshed a few times by whoever uploaded the video as they tried to figure out why the quality wasn't at 1080p, and that was it. And then everybody else who watched the trailer, it was us on this podcast. So
for sure.
Yeah, but no, I had not heard of this film, so I'm glad you're bringing it to my attention. But still, it appears like this could be an actual hit when it comes out.
Yeah, this might blow up.
But still, how dare you?
This got a jury award for best director at Fantastic Fest. If you guys care about that, it is about a stop motion animator who is making this like creepy puppet movie, and the puppets start invading her life and coming alive, and are in fact it's all done as stop motion, which is what makes this movie unique, in my opinion. It's very cool. Like these stop motion creatures are coming alive and haunting her. It's apparently about like, there's a little bit of grief in here, but it's also about like enveloping yourself in your work and what it means to be a creator, etc., etc. But it just looks also creepy. Like the reviews seem to say like, yeah, it's a sad movie about stuff, but it's also a really fun horror movie. And that's my jam. What do you guys think of this?
Yeah, no, it looks interesting. From what the write-ups that you've included, it seems like it's a movie about a person losing their mind.
Yeah,
I'm into that. I'm into creepy little stop motion freaks coming out and making your life difficult. No, it looks good. It looks spooky. It looks unique in that way. Yeah.
I'm assuming
it's
the film
good reviews.
Uses actual stop motion. If I find out that they used CGI to simulate the stop motion creatures, I'm going to be furious.
I agree. As far as I can tell, it used actual stop motion.
Stop motion is a unique form. It makes perfect horror stuff because the movement is just a little bit weird.
It's maladroit,
janky and jerky, and you almost can't make a non-creepy stop motion animation thing with little puppets. So it is perfect. It's like, what if your little stop motion puppets came to life and came after you or whatever? I realize that there's probably more going on in themes they explore, but in terms of a trailer and a hook, that's pretty good. It's creepy even before you get to the creepy stuff.
You know what's really funny? You know who agrees with you? The director of this movie. I just found an interview where he was like, I find stop motion to be extremely scary. And that's what I did this. So, yeah, it looks like it is, in fact, stop motion. And the director, was like, I find stop motion to be just inherently terrifying, even if it's trying to be cute.
There's a clip that goes around on social media every once in a while where somebody took the Ed 209 scenes from RoboCop, which, of course, were all done with stop motion. And they use their computer and AI to like smooth it out so that it's at the same frame rate, so it's walking smoothly like an actual robot. Not scary at all.
It ruins it. How would you do that?
The whole reason it was so alien and so weird and so terrifying is the way it jerks its way around the room, and it's because of the stop motion. It's a real puppet. They're moving one frame at a time, and it looks wrong the way it moves. And you smooth it out. It's just like a kind of a robot walking around. It's not the same thing.
It's Uncanny Valley otherwise, yeah.
It's like we improved it. We fixed it.
Right. Which was what they were going to do with Jurassic Park. They had the Go Motion where it was like improved stop motion. If you ever watched the test for that, it is very impressive.
It's the same. It's the same stuff they used in Dragonheart.
Oh, okay. Really? Mm-hmm. Dragonheart's CGI, I thought.
No, not Dragonheart. Dragon Slayer. Excuse me.
Dragon Slayer. Okay, that makes more sense.
That makes way more sense.
Yeah. But yeah, everybody check out this. Yeah, I think this movie is going to blow up. It's already in the process of it. But yeah, it reminds me of Alice, that stop motion Alice in Wonderland film. That's super, super German and very, very creepy. This looks fun. I should say that I don't think this is a critique, but she's making a stop motion. Like the stop motion she's making is creepy.
Yeah.
And so then the dolls come alive, and it's like, yes, they are in fact also creepy because they were made to be creepy. So you could have made it like, if they were like cheery, fun dolls or something. I don't know, because I guess we've gotten every version of this, right? The ironic creepy, the non-ironic. So
like Coraline,
I don't know. It still looks good. Oh yeah.
That was stop motion, and that's another case where it's like, Oh yeah, it was horrifying. It's like, well, no, she hasn't gone to the monster realm yet. It's like, no, it's already,
it's already scary.
It's already creepy.
It continues. Yeah.
The weird Russian bodybuilder living in her attic. Wait till you see the twisted version of him. I'm like,
this is not that.
Is this not him? Are we not meeting him right now?
That's like one of I think the scariest moments in the Stephen King, It TV movie adaptation, is when he goes down the drain and he's clearly turns into a stop motion. And again, they don't mean it to be creepy because it's stop motion, but it's terrifying because it's a stop motion clown.
Like if you saw something moving like that in real life, it would be the scariest thing you'd ever seen, no matter what it was.
They try to cheat it sometimes when they do that walking backwards thing, like with The Ring or like House on Haunted Hill, where they'll film somebody moving backwards and then just play it in reverse. So you kind of get like a similar, like that Maladroit kind of weird otherworldly thing. And it always looks fucking creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very creepy. It's a free pass. It's like stop motion in that. It's like just a free pass to creep me out for sure. So yeah, everybody check this out. Probably pretty good.
Yeah.
Looks good. I want to see it.
Cool. Well,
the end.
Yeah. We've come to the end of things. That is a sode. Oh gosh. We've done it, guys.
We did it. Yeah.
Jason, thank you so much for being on.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, again, the book that's up for pre-order is called I'm Starting to Worry About This Black Box of Doom. You can pre-order it anywhere. If you want to find me on where almost everyone finds me, on TikTok, where I have about 400,000 followers now. I am Jason. I am Jason K. Pargin there.
Oh, yeah, good old TikTok. Cool. Yeah, I'll plug our Patreon, patreon.com/gamefully unemployed, GAMEFULLY unemployed. We have exclusive podcasts on there like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Star Trek The Next Futurama, Spiel Boys. We watch movies every Friday night with our patrons as well. Lots of fun. We love it. Come join us.
Yeah, we also have a store. Head over to gamefullyunemployed.com where you can find a link to our Teespring store. We have all kinds of cool original artwork and designs you can get on t-shirts, mugs, stickers, posters, all sorts of things. So slap your stop motion peepers onto that. And leave us a review wherever you happen to be listening to this.
Yeah, do it. Leave us a good review.
Preferably, but whatever's in your heart.
Honestly, any reviews help. Just any kind of interaction.
Yes. Yeah, just let us know there are people out there, that we're not alone. We're not shouting into the abyss. Like, I'll accept just, I am here. That's it.
Perfect
3
review.
words.
Yeah.
I am here. Yeah.
I am here, ... Now.
Like if I was looking up a podcast on Apple Podcasts or something, and I saw one that had like 3 positive reviews, I'd be like, okay, it's their friends that left review. If I found a podcast that had 2,000 1-star reviews, I'd be like, I've got to check this out.
It's true.
I've got to listen to all of these. There is what could possibly be going on.
Yeah. Oh, man.
To be clear, please don't leave us a bunch of 1-star reviews as a bit.
No.
Only if that's what you really feel.
No, the platforms, the algorithms do not know how to detect your ironic bad reviews.
All right, say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye. Our music is produced by Chris Corlew. You can follow him on Twitter at @thecorlew, CORLEW, and find more music at shipwreckedsailor.bandcamp.com. Our channel artwork is produced by Michael Vincent Bramley. You can find more of his artwork at instagram.com/mvbramleyart. Our episode artwork is produced by Justin Brown. You can follow him on Twitter at @JustinTBrown and find more of his artwork at artnessbyjustinbrown.com and justinbrown.info.